just to mention that feel free, relax, the leadership of the process has just entered. Let me also acknowledge the entire leadership led by the convener of the process, Comrade Nico Shibamu. Ladies and gentlemen, this collective Midrand consultation acted on behalf of all the volunteers who took time when a call was made to volunteer through a volunteer process which was advertised on all media platforms. We have called you here to say, relax. My name is Mayibuye Nkause. I'm chairing this session today, and I'm also the national chair of the Mayibuye process. Leaders of Mayibuye who are here, and all volunteers who are out there, we have heeded to the call to call this collective of entrepreneurs, the collective of business, and the collective of professionals to come and have an engagement as part of the Mayibuye process, consultation process. We are going to go province to province, region to region, and speak to a collective like this, and speak to all stakeholders and want to hear from them. As we embark on this journey, what is it that you want to see changing in South Africa? What is it that you want us to do when all of us take a decision to either have a political movement or a movement which will be guided by each and every stakeholder out there which we are going to be meeting? This collective, together with all the volunteers of Mayibuye, respects all the stakeholders. That's why we called this first part of stakeholders today, amongst others that we have been engaged in. We respect traditional leaders because they are the owners of the land. But also, when you start each and every process without engaging the owners of the land, without engaging religious leaders, traditional healers, you run a risk of leaving them behind. These are the sectors that we do not want to leave behind. These are also the sectors, including yourselves, that we want to carry along and say, in our planning moving forward, we would love you to be a part of it. When you vote, when the time comes, you should be proud and say, I was part of this collective decision. I was part of this process. We have taken upon ourselves as volunteers of Mayibuye to rise above and make sure that we take a stand and get everybody else to understand that we are not going to sit down, sit back, and let our country run to the drain. Our people under the ANC government remains impoverished. Our people under the ANC government remains without jobs, remains under constant electricity cuts, some areas without water, some areas our people are still drinking with animals. Hence, we needed to take up the reins and say, we are not going to be counted into this laziness, into the corruption which is happening currently in government. There are formations who tried to be a part of this process. Black formations which were trusted. The EFF, told, it seemed to be a voice of a black child. But along the way, when all the elements were creeping in, many people seized the EFF as a cult, as a one-man show. There are many heads, there are many brains there. But when you look at their posture, you see only one man. And it's a self-enrichment project. Elections results showed that indeed they are able to rescue a black child. But the recent fightings, power fightings, money fightings, which are all over on media and even in their gatherings, clearly shows that the MKP is incapable of liberating a black child. It is viewed as a family business, an organization which was supposed to be taking a black child out of poverty, but it is now a money-making scheme and a cash cow for one family. We cannot allow that. We cannot fold our arms and allow that. We need to make sure that we do something. Young and old, all stakeholders. The ANC is going down each and every election, and it has shown recently that it cannot liberate a black child. It was given an opportunity over 30 years to do so, but all efforts went down the drain. So we welcome you here on this occasion of an engagement with yourselves, to have an honest engagement as to where do we go from here. On behalf of this collective, leaders from business sector, leaders from entrepreneurial sector, all stakeholders present here we needed to call. You are most welcome. Thank you. Comrade Nolbaba Lufinga to come and introduce all the leaders who are here of the Mayibuye consultation process. Comrade Nolbaba.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good evening to all professionals that are here, community leaders, comrades, and to my fellow leaders of my Mayibuye consultation process. As our chairperson has rightly said, that tonight is not about speeches, but tonight we are here to listen. To listen to those who create, who innovate and build our nation every single day. We are here to engage the minds and the hearts that move this nation forward. Every day, often with no support, but with great determination. I must quote Thomas Sankara when he reminds us that we must dare to invent the future. And tonight we dare to do just that, with the people at the center, and that is you. We cannot move in this country without listening to the people. The people shall govern. That is what we are practicing. We are going back to the roots. So we are there. And tendreke apha into yoba mandizobonisa igqeba. Ndizolibonisa igqeba leMayibuye consultation process. And ndizawuqala ngo-deputy convener, uComrade Lwedo, who is also the president of Mawusa. Siphinde kwakhona sibulisa imbokodo le lapha our national chairperson, uComrade Mabato Makawuse. Siphinde kwakhona sibe no-national coordinator, uComrade Siphephile Mahlaba. Aphinde abe nesekela lakhe, uComrade Uda. Sibe kunye ne-fundraiser ezimbini. Siba ne-fundraiser uComrade Tshepo Mahanuke. Siphinde kwakhona sibe noComrade Menzi Makubane. Sine-spokesperson ezimbini, uComrade Sidney Baloyi, abababonekala. Sibe noComrade Hlumelo Biko, osendleleni ezayo noba angangena anytime. Siphinde kwakhona sibe kunye no-head of mobilization, uComrade Mzwandile Goke. Siphinde kwakhona sibe no-national organizer, uComrade Patrick Zidane. But sibe khona no-national uyi-deputy yakhe, uLinda Spires naye, uyi-organizers as well. So sifuna ukuthi siyabulela ngokuthi nibe nabo zi-comrades. The comrades that I just introduced now have taken up the task of working with the people, not to go ahead of them. And tonight, they are here to hear your truth, your challenges, and your vision. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy National Convener of Midrand. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have the second Deputy Coordinator of this process, Comrade Garisile, who has a brief mention. I'm now going to take this opportunity and welcome also Comrade Churuda to come and co-facilitate this process with them. I have mentioned that we need to feel free to engage. This process is an interactive process. So we are going to note hands. Comrade Churuda will come and assist me in noting hands, and let's just feel free. Let's feel free, comrades and ladies and gentlemen, to speak our minds. It doesn't have to be positive, just speak your mind. I'm going to again hand over back to the Deputy National Convener to fix something.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, you know it's Mayibuye, we are given to lead. So sometimes even our leader we forget because he just gives us to just go. So I would like to introduce our national convener, the servant of the people, Comrade Florence.
Mayibuye. Ya Afrika. Mayibuye. Ya Afrika. Thank you very much. We are here to listen, so I'm going to be sitting down to listen. We're typing all the inputs that we have from. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, National Convener. We have fixed the process. We have fixed it for the day. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to allow hands, an interactive process moving forward. We shall note hands and we will respond. I'm noting hands. That's number one. Can I have a microphone this side? May we finish with this row, but can I note hands? introduce ourselves so that we know where you come from, who you are, and which constituency you are representing.
Mayibuye. Yeah, Africa. Mayibuye. I'd like to introduce Osima from Bakataba.
We were there before we were defined, so we're not going to be defined by legislation that comes from women touch law. But here's the fact. We have touched on a very important nerve that the Amakos must be involved. But let me indicate from the beginning that Amakos, the royals, the traditional leaders that we call them, they have so many organizations. Themselves, they are split. I belong to several organizations of the royals, kingdoms. They are split. We will need to have a mechanism of uniting all organizations of Amakos so that they can form one united front and be part of Mayibuye. Because without them, the struggle will definitely get lost. We know that the struggle was actually started by them. They contributed 100 cattle per kingdom to fight the colonizers when they formed the African Natives National Congress. But it was later changed to ANC. That struggle is still on, and there is a court case that is going on, opened by His Royal Majesty King III and PECA, Pan-Africanist Council of Traditional Leaders. They have opened the case that the ANC be returned to Amakos. So this Mayibuye needs to go back and get all the relevant kingdoms so that they can form one united front of uniting Amakos, so that going forward we do not find the owners of the land being split, because they will be used as the colonizers used it.
All the way from United States of Italy. I'm currently residing here in Midrand. I'm standing here as I don't want to say that it seems like as if I'm representing a certain union, but I belong to Professional Educators Union. I'm an educator by profession. Leadership of Mayibuye, I felt very honored and pleased to be invited to come here so that we can engage. And I also felt it's very important that I raise two issues that I feel maybe Mayibuye will be our voice from teacher fraternity. You see, we have a lot of challenges, social challenges in our schools. And our government has failed us this month. As I'm standing here today, we are having a lot of violence, and as educators, we are even losing the battle from our schools. And we have a lot of policies that govern us, and there are also policies that govern learners. But our Department of Basic Education is failing to make sure that those policies are interpreted in the right way. And you see, that's why today we have a lot of SGBs in our schools that are very curious. And the we are also working hand in hand with some of our unions that are very ignorant, and they also bully. And I don't want to be specific, but you will read along the lines. And again, I feel like Mayibuye, it's high time that, since you indicated, Chairperson, that people shall serve, it's high time that you make teachers to have voice in their schools. Because you stand in an authority de facto, but you are not managing that classroom, because there is a child at the back who feels that they are, or you are just wasting his or her time in that classroom. Another challenge that I feel Mayibuye must also have to look at it thoroughly is the issue of the curriculum. To be honest, we understand that these days we have a lot of paycheck collectors in our schools. If you are found to be implementing new ideas and you are not in leadership, you always become, or you always being victimized. Now, let me talk about the last point that I think Mayibuye can step in, and this symposium will also help me going forward to address the issue. The gap between the curriculum in secondary schools and tertiary level. To be honest, today we are complaining about our unemployment rate at 60-something%, but our Department of Basic Education and Higher Education, they continue to give our kids the curriculum that makes them to only focus on getting a job, whereas they are not creating ones. Another thing.
So just reintroduce yourself.
Okay. Am I audible? Yeah. Okay, thank you so much to the leadership of Mayibuye. I go by the name of Alan Ledoba. I'm a young entrepreneur from Victoria. And I felt that it was quite important that I should come through and actually share what I have on the table. I'm a 30-year-old entrepreneur. I've never worked a day in my life because every time I was getting a job, I was chucked out. But at this point in time, I've done quite a lot of things. I've graduated under agriculture, farmer by profession. I went all out trying to look for land. I approached all the banks to do commercial farming, but we know land is quite a serious issue in South Africa. We don't have the land, and Comrade Mechimabo, I'm going back to you to say, let's continue sing and get our land back, which is the first point. Second point is that after what I felt with this business is going up and down approaching banks, I realized that I need to take a little bit of money that I have and actually invest it into a money-making scheme that can actually grow me to get that 5 million and invest in the business. A lot went wrong. We went through courts. We've approached every. Talk about the NPA, we were there. You talk about SAPS, we were there. And I'll give you guys a glimpse of my life because I want you guys to understand that I had brushed a little bit with the law as a victim, and that's how I could see how corrupt SAPS is, how corrupt the NPA is, and how corrupt some of our courts can be. Let's also note that. Moving furthermore, I've went, after winning these cases, went furthermore and went to the automotive industry. I'm sure some of you guys might know that in a farm there's a workshop, so we do agricultural engineering. So if you speak about it behind me, I know X, Y, and Z, the stuff I can fix there. So that's how I actually went into the automotive industry. We got contracts from SAPS, we're fixing government vehicles, but we have resided into a property that is owned, or rather that is coordinated by a entity called Northwest Development Corporate, NWDC. It has been a pain in the neck because ever since we went into those properties, we've lost electricity, we've lost water, we've lost everything you can think of. The property at this point in time is not conducive. Just to take you guys a little bit back, you might know that Babelehi was employing over 50,000 people. That's 50,000 individuals, and we know one family is an average of 5 people. So that infrastructure of Babelehi was at least feeding 250,000 people over the past years when I was still growing up. But at this point in time, we are employing at least 500. Let's look at the gap. And moreover, there's a transition that should happen from the Northwest Corporate to TWA. And in that midst of the transition, I must say that there are individuals that were working for NWDC before. They are taking advantages of the properties. They are molesting tenants. They are trying to get as much money as possible from these people illegally. When the properties there are not conducive for business, we don't have electricity, we are losing our contracts because our landlord, he claims that he's our landlord, but he's not putting a platform for us as business people to practice in a proper way. So I also wanted you guys to look into that, but furthermore, just to not waste time, not only do I want the Mayibuye team to focus onto these issues that we all want to be outlaying, but I for one am putting myself to say that I also am willing to drive this ship to the right direction. Because a leader is a leader that creates other leaders and never followers. If you say you are a leader, but you only have followers, you are a celebrity. You are not a leader. You might as well open a TikTok account and do TikTok dances. For us here, I'm saying as a young person, I'm not going to send the leadership of Mayibuye alone. I'm putting my hand up and saying, let's move forward.
So in this if you decide today to form an opposing organization, one of the things that we feel good yesterday is our constitution. If Mayibuye equals the constitution, because it's suffering the corruption it allows by the very same constitution. In the situation that Mayibuye, una revolution eyashiya abo Christian, abo that revolution is not complete. So in the situation that Mayibuye, I could that revolution, that true revolution, so that as a South African lecturer, see your city freedom is controlled and the complete freedom, because all the information that we have today, we can see who is the creator, the real and the fake cats that are oppressing the very same poor people that they pretend that they represent. So, it's very good in Mayibuye, if they get the constitution, we put the constitution my children.
Thank you very much. You can stand by generators, solar systems, and we do water technology. So, all this we aim at collaborating, because it's not easy to get opportunities to showcase our skills and knowledge in this country, more especially from you. So what's happening is that how we want Mayibuye to help us is that some ratings when it comes to bidding of the tenders, when it comes to the CIPD ratings, it's like the experience of the graduates that are coming from the universities. So it's quite difficult actually for us to participate in certain projects. So Mayibuye would like Mayibuye to actually help us in finding a way to help us collaborate with certain companies to reach the certain ratings to qualify us in participating in certain projects. Number two, it seems like technical schools in South Africa are not given opportunities as students that are coming from the universities. I would like Mayibuye to actually assist us in that, because some people are actually technically gifted. They can't really be be the last. There's a lot of youth in the townships that are gifted, they are mechanics. Most of us here, we take our cars to them, but they are not qualified. Yeah, so those are one of the factors that we would like to actually take going forward, because not everyone affords coming to Joburg from the villages, but their parents were mechanics, they were electricians, but they are stuck where they are. They don't have the directions to actually go where they want to be in life. Thank you.
Thank you. Greetings to the leadership of Mayibuye and everyone who responded to the call. My name is Zie. I'm a health professional by profession. I've served in the private sector, providing health services, and also in the public sector. And I believe that there are obviously issues that everyone is aware of in terms of health services in the country. And I believe that Mayibuye Africa can be a vehicle that will assist in addressing the health issues, both in the private sector and also in the public sector. You know, just to name a few things, I'm sure you've seen now the recent police report in terms of how medical aids treat black people. You know, a whole lot of practices have closed, and unfortunately, those practices provide, financial backing to families, but not only families, but also provision of health services to the communities that can't afford private, expensive medical services with big corporate facilities like the whole Mediclinic and whatever. Now, in terms of public also, there are a whole lot of issues there. We have young, qualified professionals who manage to struggle through the lengthy training of the years that are required for them to become health professionals, only to find themselves unemployed. But the contradiction with that is when you go to the rural areas, you find that there are health institutions, but they do not have sufficient health professionals to be employed to be able to provide those services. So young people are there, qualified, they need to be given opportunities to be able to serve communities, especially in the villages. I had the privilege to be serving there. But not only that, institutions, hospitals, clinics, especially in the villages, are dilapidated, under the watch of the current government. And that itself renders services unavailable to people that are desperately needing the services and that are destitute. So I believe that Mayibuye can provide a vehicle to be able to assist in that regard. I'm glad that already there is an initiative that has already started, but the Mayibuye medics, and I believe that through obviously the guidance and the leadership and support of the organization itself, we should be able to, fight this fight and ensure that services are provided all across the country, especially in the villages where there is a desperate need for that. So I'll just keep it. Thank you.
You are in charge of so much money and you've got so much power. So that can only create chaos. So part of the chaos we see now is because we don't have proper people who can run the institutions properly. So my issue now touches to what is Mayibuye going to do with the education system so that we create people who can run institutions. Because that's where one of our problems is. Number two, agriculture. I also wanted to have a farm like my fellow. I'm 45 now. It is some 15 years of senior, but I'm still struggling. When I went to inquire about this place, I was given the price tag here, 7.5 million rand. I don't have that money. So now they will ask you, you need to obviously collateral, you need to have assets. In other words, you need to have the 7.5 million rand to get funding for 7.5. So the reason why you need funds is because you don't have the funds. But the way it's constructed right now is that you can't get into funding if you don't have the funds. So now that time, my issue to my way is, can we have a framework on the agricultural part to say, if let's assume we wake up tomorrow and the land is all in the hands of black people. Mayibuye is being the custodian of that right now. What are we going to do? How are we going to distribute the land to those that need it? What the framework are we going to have? Because it's one thing to say, let's get the land. We can get it, and then what? If we get the land and it doesn't work, then people will say, oh yeah, you went into and now you have become some Zimbabwean. So we need to have a framework to say, if we take the land, what are we going to do? What is the plan? And a poor child like my brother, if he wants to farm, what must he do, even if he doesn't work well? You see this place where we are right now. Imagine if this place has been running for 50 years and there's a manager who has been running this place, they say for 20 years, and there's a black person. Definitely that person doesn't have millions to start his coffee shop. But this person has been running this place for 20 years, from planning to training to budgeting and looking after employees. That manager of this place, if he goes and says, I want to have a coffee shop somewhere in Caswell, and they will say, okay, we want a million rand from you. Where is this manager going to get a million rand? Where is he going to get it? So now, I want my to look at this, and I'm also volunteering for it. I also want to be part of this big time because I see the ceiling that's put on the black child. Whatever you do, if you don't have the means, you don't have the money, you can't even start from somewhere. You need to breathe from the tank somewhere and your bottle. And that pushes most more people into corruption and other things that are untoward. So those are the two things that lead really my way to look at farming and the type of education that we have. It pains me to say,
And I would say yes. I'm an husband, and I'm a businessman. I play in the medical device space. I get to speak with a lot of people, not only here, around the world. Why do we need a political country?
Follow this.
Or why do we need another political? Why do we need another political party? I think we need one because the ones that we currently have are not listening to the people. I interact with the youth across the nation, and I've seen youth entrepreneurs that their voices are not listened to. I run an organization called Economic Action Congress, and as I engage with the young people, you can see the frustration. Lack of funding. I don't know if government is doing enough. We can tell you where for the US is now. But I think there's despondence, frustration, and a lack of hope in many young people. So, as we heard, my colleague here, he is struggling to really break through, even though I believe there was an answer by himself, probably with the help of people who have been listening to his vision. If we continue like this, then our country, our nation is not going anywhere. So, I think the collective here, the leadership, I would say yes to the political party that will listen to the voice of the youth, that will inspire people to do business,
create wealth for themselves, their children. I can be talking about wisdom beyond just the way we can run in politics. Number two, or rather three, which would be tribalism. Tribalism is still huge in this country. That's wrong. How can we really go beyond tribalistic ideologies and mindset? You go to Dubai, you find 2.5 million people. 10% are Emirates and Emiratis. They're the owners of the land. Just 10%. And the rest are experts coming from all over the world. Look at what they've built. Here we have so much. We can do a whole lot. You know? But I have to tell you, I'm Zulu, I'm Zonga, I'm that, and I don't know, maybe because I'm a pastor by college. But I think we need to go beyond just tribalistic, working together because we're that and that. I think we should go beyond it. The last thing would be sort of I don't know what will be your view, how we look at it going forward. But there's a need for you. The last will be religion. What I mean, or in Hong Kong or America, are not centered around these things. I'm Muslim, this is a Christian. I'm a Christian man. But I work with, I've got friends that I work with all over who are Hindus, who are Muslims, who are Jewish, and all that. Can we really go beyond that? We'll do the evangelism separate in our own corner. Instead of saying, okay, I'm a Christian, therefore I can't work with you as a Muslim. But I think we have not gone beyond it. So yes, to the political party, is this the platform? Is Mayibuye the right political party that can take all of us forward? And that's my vision. Thank you so much.
In terms of targeted focus on what we want to change, especially at the workplace struggle, that is very important. Because the question whether we should have another political party, I think we've long passed this stage. Reality is that we need to have another political party, but a different political party from the current ones that we are having. That's what we should be debating. And some of the inputs that we want to put forth is that we must learn from these other formations. Because it's easy to say others are now a cult and all these things. But what have we learned out of it? So that we don't create the same mistakes when we go forward. Because part of it is that in the new formation here, Mayibuye, we must also avoid the battle of tribalism. Now, if we also look at our political system now, it's starting to create parties that are based on tribalism or some class formation, not all of us. So we should move away. In fact, if there's one thing that we must do, our leadership must be bold enough and be clear to speak against those things. So that at the ground level, we don't associate Mayibuye with a certain groupings. Because that's how we're going to lose all of us. That's why some of us, as much as we are Zulus, we did not go to MK because we knew the founding principles of it. It was based on 100% Zulu vote. So we couldn't associate ourselves with them. So we are not sure when we hear some leaders there, maybe Zabanya Bantu Mamashanga. We're not sure. Because that thing was there before. So from us, when we start now, we must start to be clear around the path. We must also look at, currently now, South Africa has a crisis in terms of youth unemployment. And as the new formation, if there's one area that we must, capitalize on, it's becoming an alternative voice to young people, specifically the youth that is unemployed. We already know there are metros that we must, if we come into, when we agree, in fact the leadership, if they decide to now announce that we are forming a political party, one of the things that we must push for is industrialization of some of our metros. As part of an alternative of creating employment, there are many metros that are already ready, but there is no win in those who are capturing those metros. City and law, while man close, so many of them can't convene a nation. You have to take him long to get rid of a minister who is corrupt. So that we don't want that thing. So we should be able to hold each other accountable. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, my name is Chibiwa Nabaka. I'm an associate of medics. I'm a healthcare profession, but now I'm fully functionally private. So what I want to say is just to thank something like this. Okay, all I want to say is that thank you for the opportunity. I've always been looking for an opportunity to make contributions, but I never had one. So that's why I say Mayibuye must be a political party. We are not consulting anymore. We want you. I am also my share of the side of the professional, and I know that there was poor representation when it comes to issues of the workers. But I will break it down bit by bit, right? So now, I just want to preamble on certain issues that when we come to Mayibuye, let's come to contribute to improve the daily living of our people. We shouldn't come with the ambition to want to lead or to be deployed to parliament. Because what we know is that comrades, when they see a new political party, they look at an opportunity of employment. So, can we not come with that view of saying we want to be employed, we want to lead? I'm sure someone has already pictured themselves in parliament already very soon. So, let's run away from them, because that's what creates functionalism. Because now I want that leader to enter parliament. But now we must look at politics, we must look at enriching our people, right? And also, when we are in plenary here, we must discuss ideas so that we find each other, not an idea that supersedes of another one. You must not present an idea just to make sure that the other one looks like they don't have enough ideas. We must be a community so we improve whatever that we're trying to do, right? Yeah. So now, I'm going to talk about professionals. So what I was saying is that we need a structure that is going to represent us in different spheres, right? So now, we have different bodies. I will speak on a body which is HPCC, which is where I belong to, but we need to have all different bodies, right? And then now, everyone, when they speak of the poor, every part. The poor must get this, the poor must get this. But who's speaking for the working class? Because the working class is just 1 minute away from being fired to be poor. But no one speaks about them. Now, let's talk about if you are victimization at work, Niao has lost the relevance. It doesn't represent the worker. Also, if we were to talk about Niao, it will represent the workers that are like your, let's say the hospital. They don't represent more of the health workers, but the ones that are working in the hospital, your cleaner, your groundsman. But where is the working class being covered? Secondly, the working class has been suffering with a lot of issues, like your, if we were to look at the working class, there is an issue of investment, right? You have investment that gives you 8% of interest rate because you're a professional, which they can get certain professionals. But if you are not belonging to the investment, it means that you must go to
the chair of the session. Corporate Floyd, we've been looking forward for you to come up with one statement today. My name is Albert Moyana. I'm the chairperson of the Our branch for National Department of Justice. And my colleagues from that, I'm very happy because he's the one who brought me back to work. I was suspended for standing for the workers. So, corporate, I will start with the issue of workforce because I think we have to be direct and to the point. My friend corporate from Lazo, I think you have workforce representation has lost touch with the workers. So, corporate fraud, there's a need for a new party, which will actually revive that issue to make sure at last we have trade unions or national unions which will be fully representing the workers. I will just give one practical example so that I'm short and direct to the point. If you look now, because of the fact that most of our trade unions are affiliates of the ruling party, somehow are conflicted. That is why I'm saying when I see the corporate from that one, because he knows why I was suspended. So you find that if you raise workers' issues as a shop steward or as a church FSA, then what happens, you will be victimized, and then when you stand for the workers, you'll find that your grievances or whatever those who was actually said is correct. But just because you have your fellow comrades either in parliament or in all those institutions, obviously they will actually conspire and end up being victimized for representing the worker. So in essence, I'm trying to say that with this new initiative, it's very crucial to ensure that if ever Mayibuye end up being a political party, you must make sure you are not conflicted. If ever the workers come with grievances, let's make sure their interest comes first. Not issue no comrade Fanbani is related to whatever is close to another army, so his case would end up being compromised. So that's what normally happens currently with the current union formations. And then secondly, it simply means most of the people end up being unfairly dismissed or actually put under suspicions, you see. So I think with the new formation, I'm very happy because that's who is here. You will hear what I'm saying and you take it into consideration. And number two, leaderships and the internships. You know what's happening now with the appointment. I think leadership, you remember that I'm the one who was representing the workforce at Sasita from 2018 up until last year, since you know those problems they are having with us. So what I can say needs to happen there, you know this skills development or leaderships are either for 18 or 24 months. Then after that 24 months, what happened to these leaders? Nothing. They end up being unemployed. So I think we must come up with a mechanism whereby you find that we've got a lot of companies in South Africa. At the end of the day, we must make sure when those learners complete their leadership or internship programs, the companies, we've got, for example, professionals here who are owning companies. We must make sure some of them absorb those people, depending on their skills. So currently, that is why you find that when they finish their leadership, they will be waiting for another leadership. You see, instead of being absorb into a work environment. So I think we must also look at that mechanism after this youth, because it's just a natural talent. And then they apply for the fund, whoever has got political connections will apply for that funding, then they outline on the artist so and so will get 50,000 or 10 whatever. And in real sense, most people are not getting those money. So you'll find that maybe they will give them 5,000, 2,000. Because remember, they didn't see the proposal. So in short, I'm trying to say the most exploited industry in South Africa, and which was actually supposed to add more value, is the creative industry. But now on face value, you'll find that when they are music or whatever, if it's active, it's still booming. They appear when they are there. But if you look in a long run, 5 years down the line, if ever that particular person passed on, that's when you realize or not, they were just using those people as cover up for them to make money. So I'm saying, Midrand, to me, it's a political part. You see, even though I'm still in the consultation process, because I want Midrand to close those gaps I outlined in my short explanation. Number one, the workforce representation. Now soon, you are hearing what I said, that the workforce representation has lost touch with the workers. And then number two, leadership programs must not just be seen if ever I'm a politician, I know I will be saving at that CETA, getting the allowances. Then after the allowances, are those skills and development or training adding value to the learners now? So those are the things we need to look at. And then lastly, as I said, we need to look at the creative industry. The creative industry in countries like America, that's the largest contribution to the economy. And then most of the artists which are actually add value is from Africa. But now their products come back home as import and whatever. So if ever everything, our political leadership can make sure everything starts from here at home. And then I think that they will think it.
So use Xhosa so that it speaks to what Michael was talking about. I come from an organization called Lomo Investment Group, the division of the group. So for me, it's very brief. I would say on protocol left. I think there's a colleague coming from the education space. You mentioned something about the education system or the schooling system. So indeed, I've got first-hand experience of the gap between that. Just about 2-3 days ago, there's one fellow that I went to UJ with for civil engineering. So I wanted to invite him. So he's unemployed, currently enrolled for his honors degree. I wanted to invite him for a project to say, look, come here. There's an opportunity, you can at least get something. Then I asked him a simple question, what can you do? This is the scenario of the project. What can you do in this project? And he told me that, look, actually, I know how to run Excel, prepare documents, and that was very disheartening to see somebody that I went to and sat next to when we wrote exams, not really knowing what needs to be done in the project in real time. So, unfortunately, we could not take him because with this honors degree that he's pursuing is irrelevant to what is needed on the ground. So, I say this, that I think as this new formation, it will be of critical importance that we find a way in which we can empower those that are within the education system, because education is very important and very key. But we need to empower them to be able to address the economic issues without have to go and work. Because
unfortunately, currently we are stuck with a system which people graduate to independence and not to economic independence. So you graduate and you still have 5 years of being unemployed because you cannot employ yourself. So, as I conclude, I stand here with carrying, I think I'm just a couple of years younger than the brother there, who said 30 years, but at my late 20s years, I carry over 60 traditional leaders, the back of my shoulders, with the kind of projects that we do, because basically what we do is we work in the rural spaces, in the rural communities. So I have got over 60 traditional leaders who they come every day from our engagement to say, we need this that we're talking about. Please, can you do something? So when you have got traditional leaders who are old enough to be your grandfather, then that says, or the royals. So that says that there is a vacuum in what needs to be done on the ground, basically in the rural communities. And you know, with the little experience, I've come to realize that it's in the rural communities or in the rural areas where there is currently more economic opportunities than what we have now in the urban areas. So I would like to propose and call upon everyone who is part of us. I am a proud volunteer of this process.
I am a professional in the accounting auditing space. I specialize in forensics, anti-corruption, fraud, those kind of fun things. My first comment is to thank the Mayibuye consultation process, because in my profession we do not associate with politicians. We are apolitical and neutral. So this is a platform for some of us, especially those who are in the anti-corruption and anti-fraud space, to be heard. As a professional, number one, let's look at professionalization of the public service, particularly in the local government space. Number two, being a professional comes with having certain codes of conduct, certain behavior that is expected from you, and you know that if you're a doctor and you become unethical, it will take away your accreditation, or if you're an accountant and so forth. So as we go forward as professionals of our different professions, thank you for considering our inputs, and I will be also giving my inputs via email as to how we can strengthen our anti-corruption fight. I always say in South Africa we don't have a revenue problem, we have an expenditure problem. We have a lot of leakages, especially as a public financial specialist myself. I see a lot of this. I've investigated a lot of cases where politicians are involved, 90% of them, in collusion with professionals and entrepreneurs. So my last bit is to say thank you to the leadership for consulting with us, because we do not have a voice when it comes to politicians, and we do not attend political rallies or meetings, but this we can attend and give input. So that will be my 2 cents. Thank you very much.
We have the funding, but we do not have women that are capable of running businesses that can be able to receive those funds. So this is a process that probably can open doors for a lot of ladies that have ideas but do not have funding. But of course, there is a whole lot of work that has to be done to make them able to be in a position to receive that. So thank you so much. I would also love to send an email and share some thoughts around these ideas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May we get back here to this row so that we finish it off? I've noted 3 hands, 4, 5. I'll come back.
Good evening, comrades. My name is Kau Masatsi. I'm a social worker by profession. I won't get deep into the unemployment in our industry or the harsh conditions that we work in. But I will just add on what my brother has said. I'm taking it that I'm being consulted. Number one, I fully agree with the point that we form a political organization. We are in need of one. And my question to the leadership is that is the name Mayibuye an official or something that is still yet to be consulted and discussed maybe in the future? That is number one. Number two, with the criteria that is going to be added for the leadership that is going to be deployed in any position in government, we also need to start to formulate or train each and every member of this organization or of this political organization, if it goes to that point, with leadership skills, and also to be trained with how the government runs, because it is very important that each and everyone knows that in this organization. And again, I would like this organization to also advocate for sleepless economy. That is one of the things that I want this organization to push for. And again, I want this organization to be open to seeing other professionals who are qualified and specialized in certain things that are outside the ship part.
There are big institutions like UNISA. They don't accommodate us as financial advisors or financial planners. Now, UNISA does not have the curriculum for us as financial advisors. In order for us to be accommodated, we need to go to UFS, which is the University of Free State, and it's very much more expensive. Another institution, it is Stellenbosch. Another institution, it is Melpark and Bluestone. Those institutions are therefore run by other ethnic groups. So we therefore request the Mayibuye to talk on our behalf for financial advisors to have the curriculum at UNISA so that UNISA can recognize us, and for us to have the CFP, which is the Certified Financial Planning qualification at UNISA. And therefore, the fees, we request the INSITA to fund the financial advisors when they want to go to UNISA, so that they must have the funding, because those institutions are very much more expensive for us. Another one is that I am happy for the fact that, one, there are educators in this room who will definitely request all the kids from maybe grade 6 or grade 8 to have the curriculum of wealth management at the school level. Reason being, most of us, or the majority of the financial advisors, we came as a default into the insurance industry. Therefore, you can go and work at Olushwa or Sanda, and therefore you ended up running your own insurance firm. There was no one who grew up and saying, I want to be a financial advisor. But there are guys who are saying, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer. But if you don't succeed into those, therefore you ended up becoming a financial advisor, then you came as a default. Now we wanted to come up, please, we want Midrand to make this paradigm shifting exercise. But you know what? Let this be a curriculum, let there be a curriculum from NPF level 4, from these school rate, NPF level 4, NPF level 5. If they matriculate, therefore they know for the fact that now they can go to this financial institution and contribute. Now what is happening is that, according to this industry, we take, therefore, us as employers, employing kids from TVET colleges who don't know anything about financial advisory. When they come to us, we train them, they end up.
Thank you very much, leadership, for this opportunity. My name is Mayibuye. I'm an entrepreneur in a very specialized field called maintenance of DNA analysis. I've traveled to more than 45 countries in the continent.
But I can tell you the main point I'm hoping that this new organization can actually assist is conscientize our people. In the words of the great Bible Stephen people, he spoke about conscientizing our people to understand that you are whole, there's nothing special about a white person. I'm operating in a space where I'm losing projects, yet I'm the only black-owned company that maintains DNA analysis. I've been trained in Germany, I've done more than 15 trainings in Germany, I've done trainings in the US, Australia, Finland, all over the world. And what is very painful is that those tenders are reviewed by black brothers like us, who still thinks that things are right because it's a white company. It is a white company, therefore they're going to do quality. So it's brainwashing whereby it's white, it must be alright. So I believe as part of this movement, there must be a very foundational program of also dealing with this conscientizing and teaching Pan-Africanism amongst our brothers. For me, my understanding of conscientizing is that, you know, we don't hate any race, but we just love our people more. If I'm reviewing 5 companies, I must intentionally look for a black company to apply. I'm not saying I'm going to apply. I always make this funny joke with my friends and other people to say, if I find a white guy fighting the black guy, we move the white guy after asking my brother when we're sitting. Wow. The aim of them is that if it's white people who find a black guy fighting with a white guy, the white people will do the same. If a white guy fights a white guy bullying a black guy, they move the black guy first. And when they're finished, that's what they'll ask him. So basically the main aim of my example is that our people still value, we're so brainwashed by this past social injustice that has happened to us all about it. It's unfortunate we'll never stop speaking about that. Because the structural foundations of that social injustice still exist until today. We're still living, benefit, feel pain when we hit the one that has the most and that's in the pocket. White people disrespect Africans in this country so much, and we don't do nothing. We don't have a very organized economic activism where we can say, right, should Pick n Pay be strengthen our brothers? Let's decide this as the residents of Midrand for this one who will not buy from Pick n Pay. Pick n Pay has done this to our people in Limpopo. Let's decide from this one week, as people of wherever, we don't buy from ShopRite for another 1 week. Unfortunately, we are so divided that they know they can do as they please, and they don't have any power to do anything about it. So the issue of economic activism, where we actually have a very powerful, intentional program of saying, if they show disrespect, let's find a way of uniting, of dealing with those things. Those are the 2 inputs, and thank you very much.
There's a lot of points been raised. Some of the points that I wanted to raise have already been raised, but there's one thing I would like to ask from the leadership of the Mayibuye consultation process. We've seen a lot of emerging political parties from the time of our president, the former president Thabo Mbeki, but we've seen them all go down the same route. They become anti-Zuma, anti-Beki, anti-Malima, anti-whoever who is in power. And when that person steps out, they become irrelevant. And then we start to call them cards. That is because the people have not been listening to the people, but the people have been the leaders. So I'd like to thank this process because we're hearing a lot of input from people, but let it not end with just input from people, let it be practiced. And to answer the question of whether we need another political party in South Africa, I fully stand by you, comrade Bambu. I think this, if you continue it this way, it will be the change that our people need. So let us also, as the people that are following, the people that are asking, the people that are answering, let us not only end by just coming here by ourselves. We have our brothers and sisters at home, we have our colleagues at work, we have our unemployed cousins in the village, we have a lot of people that we engage with on a daily basis. So it is not only the duty of the leadership, it is also our sure that we make this thing a success. I, for one, I tweeted about it a few days back. I said, if Floyd Shibambu fails, South Africa will need another 100 years to recover. We have seen a lot of failing political parties. We've seen political parties come, become MPs, down, come, down, come, down. We are very tired, Mr. Shibambu. We are very, very tired. I am a 30-year-old, let me say, man. I've tried 3 different businesses. I've applied for funding around 8 times. I've had my business profiles and business plans reviewed by powerful accountants, but nothing has happened. Why? Because in Tonga we say, we cannot get anything without giving something in the current government that we have. So, for how long will we allow it to happen? For how long shall we allow our countries to be sold to the highest bidder? So all these things of education and everything, I've had them. I'm a teacher by profession, a skills development facilitator under MICT CETA. I've had all these things. There were great points being raised, but
if it really does become a political party, is to have a very strong research-based committee. I think research is very important. It's something that I learned in all political parties. We need a research committee that will do research and answer the most important question: how are we going to solve the problems of South Africans? How? And then the action thereafter. Because a lot of youth is tired of hearing the same old, things that, we're going to create employment. How are we going to do it? How are we going to make sure that young people are getting employed? How are we going to make sure that there is security in our country? And the other thing that is really sad is that we're losing a lot of talent in South Africa because there is no security. And a country that lacks security is definitely going down the drain. So what I would like to see from Mayibuye is a good research committee that is really going to conduct both qualitative and quantitative research on how we can actually solve the problems of specifically young South Africans. And on that also, women empowerment. I would like to see a representative of young black women, a part that really, really speaks to young black women. We are not represented, especially young women. We can even see in the show, there's probably less than 15 women here, young women. Why is that? We need also to really speak to young people. We need a party that will speak to young black women and be represented, to be able to really, understand the needs of young black women. We need that, and that is why I'm here today to say, I never thought I would get into party politics, honestly, or be involved in such, but I thought to myself, really change is really in politics. Yes, some people may say in politics and so forth, but the real decision makers are politicians. So that's what I'd love to see.
So we can rather organize and run these structures in such a way that they would impact positively the people that would benefit from them being us, the South African people, or from South Africa. And also positively impact those that render their services to these people. So not only do we have structures that implement this way, or rather my apologies, by doing this way, we offer these services. We also give them an opportunity to run shopping lists, to give also access to training to these people, so that this branches up and increases their chances of being employable in the job market. Moving on, another thing is that when we go to entrepreneurship, one thing I've also heard is the unavailability of empowerment within businesses. So people having business ideas and not knowing what to do with these ideas. How my career consultation process can assist in this instance would be to host symposiums and host business summits where we are able to access business people and businessmen, we are able to network with these people to get insight into certain careers, into certain fields, see what's what and how to go about certain things. And this will improve the chances of rather getting more business people and
sir.
Thank you very much, leadership, for this opportunity. My name is Fafan.
Can we get the microphone closer?
Oh, thank you very much, leadership, for this opportunity to interact with you. My name is Fafan Mahouda. I'm a member of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. I'm a forensic investigator in the private sector. The question that we are faced with tonight is, or this evening is, that you leadership are asking us is, do we form a new political party or not? The answer to that question is a resounding yes. For the following reason. South Africa is becoming a kleptocracy, a parasitic state. What I'm seeing in my space where I'm operating as a forensic investigator is the big problem that I know this will sound controversial to the leadership of Mayibuye Consultation, but I want you to seriously look at this, and I will, automatically, support this or support this organization, become a member. If Mayibuye can do away with tenders. The reason why I don't like tenders, if you check what's happening now, South Africa is becoming a kleptocracy because of tenders. People are killing each other. We are didn't currently move what the commissioner is asking. If you check that videos and videos have been stolen, there's no water. Dr. Travis provided water without all these things. So I want I'm trying to answer the question why Mayibuye must be registered as a political party. I want Mayibuye to do away with tenders. Thank you.
The two gentlemen, the one with the light jersey first, and then yourself. Thank you.
Good evening, leaders. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Mayibuye, originally from Archangel, and I just want to say, for the first time, I think last time I attended the political organization was in 2007, after COVID. Our first year, I think it was my first time, the first collaboration. Currently, I'm in financial industry working for 8 years, and it is yet because of the currency of the country. And I'm representing the missing middle, the people who do not form part of the political parties, the people who are now with the rather washed generations, even though unlike watching people talking about stomach politics. I'm representing the working class. For 18 years been working, I think it's quite difficult. At my age, 40 years, now I'm nearly 50 years. And what is interesting, I do not do anything because of I can say that I have everything but I'm poor. Medical aid, paid, I own the house and the car, everything is there, and I can survive and so forth. Those things we survive, and we are the taxpayer family, and I can see I hear that people think that thinking about healthcare and technology. I do not feel such because of our age, but I'm here because of I want to see change. As a country, I think missing middle, the young generations, the one that is born, the one that was.
I'll be quick. First of all, I want us to have a food for thought. Just 3 things. In this day and age, easy access and technology. What do I mean by that? What do I mean? What does it take for you to become an entrepreneur today? You need to register. You need to go to SARS. You need to do this, different departments, get accreditation. Someone was talking about accreditation and all that. And yet, we are living in this era. We are in 2025 now. It shouldn't be the case. We should be using technology to advance ourselves. I should be able to register a company within 5 minutes. And depending on what industry that company is, there should be feedback saying that you have registered this company, we have assigned you to SARS, here's your self-SARS number, here's your bank account, you are in this industry. Do you know you can get assistance from the Department of Trade and Industry because you are exporting maybe a soldier? You know, such things, everything should be here. It should be easily accessible to one urban and to the ones in rural. One should have food for thought about that. That's one. Talking there as an entrepreneur. Number two, as a professional. It's sad what is happening. The rot, I must mention, the rot is deep and it's systematic. So we need to be strategic in addressing this rot that is happening. Many early industries, I've been listening to people from various industries. The gentleman is frustrated within the financial industry. The other one is also frustrated. Many industries, what has been happening is gatekeeping. The ones who've been there previously, some of them, they have formed associations. We will be, me and my brother here, we've been in this industry for the past 10 years, we said it's formed this association. Why? Because we want to gatekeep, because we want to commercialize and make money out of the black people so the black people cannot come in. Accessibility should be key. Nothing's difficult. As my brother was saying here, we as blacks, we are not stupid, we're not dumb, but the system is preventing us from going inside. So, Mayibuye should also relook into this thing of these associations and these bodies that are out there. Most of them are not even regulated. But they claim.
Comrade Chair, I have 4 points that I would like to probe into if we were to consider a new political party. And the first one would be an alternative to NYT. So part of what my company does is consultation, which means that I'm very much exposed to the challenges of an average young person in South Africa when it comes to employment opportunities. I mean, when it comes to the NYTA, I think we're fully aware that it's not doing what it's supposed to do in terms of the young people with regards to funding, skills, development, and so forth. So if we can look into the formation of an alternative to the NYTA, I think it will do justice to the youth of this country. I'll also speak into funding and purchase order funding. I think I heard a gentleman say we must do away with the tendering process. I think that will be another discussion. But there is sourcing that was introduced to mitigate when it comes to SMEs who do not have funding when the bid is awarded to. It sounds simple on paper. It sounds accessible on paper. But as an entrepreneur, I know it's not that accessible. Because the terms and conditions that come with who can be funded, who can be not, are deeper than what's on paper. So that would be the second point. Comrade Chair, on exactly a year ago, I was taken in an Uber, kidnapped in an Uber. I opened the case and nothing was done to me. That speaks to the safety of South Africa. And those are the issues that the government says nothing about. My last point is compensation for social media creativity. I am a social media content creator on top of being an entrepreneur. The difference between us and other content creators out there is not even a measure of creativity. I think South Africans are very creative, to a point where challenges that we start in South Africa are used internationally. So if we're to speak of a political party that's going to be formed, those are some of the issues that need to be addressed, because the average content creator from a chain makes $16 million a year. Are you not telling me that for a young person in South Africa would mean so much? And it also mitigates the gap of unemployment. Thank you.
So, this, according to me, this is the political
1 minute left.
Thank you. This is the political party coalition. I'm here to endorse the political party.
change, please. That's what I'm saying. Last week, please, let's show them. Let's work in silence. Let's work together and assist one another. When it says it's my way, let's help one another. Guys, we care about it. We are using it together. Instead of the school out there. And then I need your support as well. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, please finish.
I'm in that profession. The contribution which I want to make is I actually want to ask this rhetorical question. Whether, as a Mayibuye, are we going to consider doing the Constitution, and whether the Constitution that we have says 1996 did not have an impact in failing to achieve transformation goals. We can look at all our legislations. If we see all the legislations which have been created since 1986, they will start with a preamble to give effect to this constitutional imperative in our constitution. But there is no legislation that has achieved its goals. You can look at the Broad-Based Employment Act. You can look at Employment Equity Act. At least Employment Equity Act achieved something in the public service. But all these legislations, we have got the Legal Practice Act. It starts with a preamble, giving effect to these constitutional imperatives in our constitution. But says the Legal Practice Act was promulgated, there is nothing that we can show that this is what we have achieved. So my question will be, are we going to be deliberate to say the Constitution has to be reviewed, and thereafter we review all the legislations which have been adopted since 1994, because we are not achieving anything, and there's no hope for Black person if we continue with the Constitution as well as the pieces of legislations that we have in Africa.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades, I've reviewed my 3 minutes. It's now 2 minutes. We are at 54 minutes past exactly 56. Thank you.
Good evening, and fellow entrepreneurs. My name is Midrand. I am under the Mayibuye Medics as a registered counselor and profession. A political party, if you implement this, the bit of trouble. But I have a question on Mayibuye leadership. Shana, Mitabana Congress, they make a political party. The Congress, they make a elect leadership now, or not much, I need to catch in national. Because second question.
Yes, you read her?
Yes. I have 2 questions. I'm not MK now. Are you not angry at the MK? You want to form a political party? Yes, I can vote you because you come from the same district. But I want to know if maybe I follow you. Are you not angry now? Because I don't want to follow any organization.
Thank you very much. Ladies who are able to tell us what to do in the near future. This is now an opportunity for the leadership of the Mayibuye to respond to some of the questions. Majority were comments, but there are questions that we are going to respond to. I'm going to now hand over to the national convener of the Mayibuye consultation process, Comrade Yugo Shibango. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, National Chairperson, and thank you very much to all the participants. We are truly genuinely humbled that we asked on Tuesday that we invite the professionals and entrepreneurs to join us today to make reflections in the process that we are engaged in. In a very short space of time, we got the response that we got. And it's a very balanced composition of people, the professionals and entrepreneurs from different sectors. And we got to receive very, very useful inputs and submissions in terms of the whole process. I want to start with a question which I think has to be responded to, because one of the things that I got to perhaps very closely witness has been the formations of some of the political parties in South Africa. And I think I've got a far much more better analysis and assessment of what primarily led to some of those formations. And I will use that to then draw a very clear distinction between those political parties and the process that was engaged in. So after the ANC's second National Conference in Polokwane in 2007, then of course President Mbeki was not re-elected as the president of the ANC, despite that he was available for that term. And then President Zuma was elected at that time. And in September of 2008, there was a decision of the ANC to call President Mbeki as the president and head of state. And those who associated and supported President Mbeki went to found a Congress of the People as an organization. And with his full support, he was part of the planning on the formation of the Congress of the People. And the primary reason for that was that he lost the conference and he was called as the head of state and president. I know this because at that time I was in the National Executive Committee of the ANC and I was full-time in the head office of the ANC as a national spokesperson, head of policy and research, and we had to conceptualize and try to characterize what COPE was that time. But primarily was the anger which that corporate is speaking about, which those who supported President Mbeki were expressing against the ANC that was led by President Zuma. That is why COPE did not become a durable product. That is one. Two, the formation of the economic freedom fighters came from different students. There are those of us who believe that we should take up the struggle for economic freedom in our lifetime outside of the ANC and fight it as a genuine legitimate struggle. But amongst us, those who say that we must go and constitute the struggle for economic freedom outside of the ANC as a separate organization, there were those who wanted to use that platform as an expression of anger against President Zuma, who was president of the ANC, elected in 2007 and re-elected in 2012. We had to disassociate from such nonsensical approach to politics, where it's I'm fighting this person to the bitter end. You must listen to some of the things that will be said that no, we're just fighting. even when there is potential for agreement on some of the policy questions, and we just throw the wedge wider and wider every day. The third other aspect which we should make honest reflection about this is that whilst Mkondo is could be presented as a formation which should unite all progressive forces, the other underlying aspect which defines some of the people there is to fight the current ANC personalities and leadership because of the fact that President Zuma was called as the head of state. To the extent that both the EFF and the MK, for narrow purposes, just allowed for a creation of a white government, which there could have been some basis which could have united the political parties whose umbilical cords are buried in the same yard, who are united behind the Freedom Charter, some degree of a common program, but they say no. If it's a Ramaphosa is there, no ways. Personalities. I can assure you now that I'm personally not agitated myself by MK or EFF that we could form a political party just because of these two aspects. The reality is that objective majority of the people of South Africa have got no faith in this democratic project, the election process. They have given up completely, and they demonstrate that much more vividly. The number of people in South Africa who are above the age of 18 years and above, who are eligible to vote, is 42 million. In 2024 elections, there were 17 point something million people who voted. So that is less than 50% of those who are eligible. In 1994, there were 40 million people in South Africa, but 19 million people voted because they believe that this democracy is going to bring up something. So currently, majority of adults in South Africa say these things we have got no faith in enthusiasm, and it will be called the Africa Mayibuye movement, which is and the values and principles of that party will be shaped by the people of South Africa. We're not tiptoeing around, we're not confused, but we do not want to form a political movement which we just sit in a round table and we think we're intellectuals and ideologues and conceptualize without touching base with the people. There are so many useful things and inputs which we get to even listen to here today. A lot of fresh ideas that are coming up as to what do we do and how do we do things differently. So the comprehensive forensic audit points to the direct relationship between tenders and political killings and corruption. We advocated for building state capacity in a different organization, but when that organization went into political power, had the power to stop tenders and build state capacity, was number one in the line to receive tenders. And you realize that those are some of the things that we have to look into. In the process of consultation, we have said and will always say that we are not going blank or empty. There are certain principles and values that will guide us. Also, we can assure you that part of those principles will be the respect and full recognition of royal leadership in South Africa. because it is not recognized as per the 1996 Constitution of South Africa. It is just noted. So the royal leadership is just noted that yes, this traditional leadership, but in the legal framework of South Africa, it does not have any defined rules, and we will have to look into that differently. The other principle, comrades, I've got the name from the new organization that is the public service, the union. The other people of other origins. We don't spend money amongst ourselves. I can tell you now that even if we were to split 30-40% of the income that we earn amongst ourselves and empower ourselves, the levels of black poverty in South Africa was not going to be at the levels that is at now. The levels of unemployment amongst black people was not going to be at the rate that is at now. But we get all our resources, pick and pay, boxers, ShopRite, Spa, and the informal trading sector of Pakistanis take about 200 billion of that out to their own governments. We don't get to support each other. We have to lead a process as Africa Mayibuye of black economic solidarity where black South Africans support each other with everything, so that we then lead ourselves to collective economic upliftment that is going to change our lives much more collectively. I'm particularly impressed, like deeply touched by the inputs that we have. And I would think, and I would recommend that to those who are going to be drafting the Constitution, it must be compulsory for Mayibuye leadership structures at all levels to have sectoral engagements with the people at least twice per year, biannual. It must not just be an issue for the formation of the party, and after that we say we don't want to hear from the sector anymore. Or only when there is elections. It must be compulsory that from time to time we should be guided by the aspirations and the interests of the people